Hello and welcome, people of the internet, to yet another draft analysis video. I have joined multiple draft leagues recently, as you are seeing by all the new draft league content that is being produced on this channel. So if you haven't already, please do hit that subscribe button. It helps out a lot, and it helps you see more of my draft league content. So we have a new layout. I'm trying out different layouts of each draft league, see which one works best, and then I'll settle on that one layout for whenever I do my draft league draft analysis videos. This one, we are going to try where you can see the full team over on the right hand side here, which you will be able to see is Blissey, Ferrothorn, Gudra, Gothitelle, Hawlucha, Incineroar, Tapu Fini, Tornadus Ferian, Vileplume, Whimsicott, and G-Max Gengar. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to be using these slides here. I'm going to go through each and every one of them with their base stats and why they're on the team. That will give you an idea as to what they're going to do for the team and what weeks you might see them brought. And what they will do when they do get brought. So, without any further ado, we are going to begin the Lonely Draft League draft analysis. This is an off-season, not a main season, and will include Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing, as you can see by the fact that we've got G-Max Gengar. Each team has a G-Max Pokemon and two Dynamax captains, which you will see as they are labeled on their respective slides. So, let's start off with pick numero uno, Whimsicott. As what is Whimsicott going to do on a doubles team? Oh yes, I forgot to mention, this is a doubles league. So, Whimsicott sets up various terrains as well as setting up tailwinds, taunts, the likes. So, it is mostly a support Pokemon primarily, and it does have a decent special attack style of 77, which will allow it to do some damage if I was to bring, say, a Choice Specs or Life Orb. Those are very unlikely, however they might come. We don't know. It does give us some decent coverage as well, so bear in mind it does get Moonblast, Giga Drain, Energy Ball, Dazzling Gleam. It gets moves that are coverage moves that will help us out a lot. It is one of two fairies on our team. So moving on to the next one, because there's not really an awful lot you can say about Whimsicott except for the fact that it is a support Pokemon. So moving on to the next Pokemon on this, we have pick number 2, Tapu Lele. When I saw the Tapu Lele was still there round 2, we were in the middle of the draft order, and I saw that Tapu Lele was still not taken, and we figured, let's take the Lele, because... was it Lele? Don't tell me I made a mistake. So I'm just double checking that it was Lele. It was actually Fini that we took. I made this mistake. Disregard this. We actually took Tapu Fini, not Lele. For some reason, when making these slides, I made a mistake. Thought it was Lele because that was what we were gonna pick. So disregard that. We actually have got Tapu Fini, which I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. We make mistakes. I make one recording of these, so I'm just gonna have to live with this mistake. And I will pull up the Tapu Fini stats now, because otherwise I'd have to completely re-record this. And yeah, so we did not take Tapu Lele, we took Tapu Fini, and by the way, if you enjoy the music, it is actually the music from Glitch City. I will link them down below in this recording. So Tapu Fini, what does Tapu Fini do for our team? Well, first off, it does give us terrain. It gives us access to the terrain, misty terrain, as well as giving us a very nice setup Pokemon that gets access to default for removing opposing terrains, as well as its own terrain if needed, and opposing screens. It also gives us access to a nice base stat total of 130 in special defense, 115 in defense, and 95 in special attack. So it can hit hard and take hits at the same time. It does also give us access to things such as Icy Wind for speed control, as well as getting Protect, but then most Pokemon get Protect these days, and both Light Screen and Reflect. So it is a decent support Pokemon in that aspect, while also hitting hard if we need to go on the offense. And it can go on the offense with moves such as, well, obviously you've got Water Pulse, Hydro Pump, Moonblast, Nature's Madness, which Nature's Madness is not what we would like to use, but it is something we can use. But at the same time, it gets Heal Pulse for being a Cleric as well, so supporting Blissey in the Cleric role. So yeah, mistakes aside, let's move on. Thankfully, that is the only one we did make mistakes on, but Tapu's, they're all virtually the same except for Coco. They're all identical, they're all support Pokemon. It was just which one fit our team best. So Incineroar, it's again another support Pokemon. We do go into non-support Pokemon after, but this Pokemon gives us Parting Shot support, so another way to keep our Pokemon alive. Pivoting in and out, it gets access to nice coverage moves. It gets access to a very heavy hitting Flare Blitz with Choice Band if we want to. Base attack of 115 is amazing. It gave us some finally an offensive threat. Its speed stat is nice and low, which can come into things if we decide to play into the speed stat. We do have Gothitelle on our team. So there was not an awful lot to say about Incineroar that you don't already know. It hits hard and it gives us some support in parting shots. So moving on to the next Pokemon, we have our first Dynamax captain in Goodra. Goodra is one of my favourite Pokemon to use in doubles. If you haven't already seen my Twitch streams, every Friday I do live viewer battles, and whenever we have double battles, usually Goodra ends up somewhere on the team, in one of the teams that we use in the battles. And with its base stats of 90 HP, 150 special defense, and 70 defense, can you blame me? Its speed stat isn't terrible, being 80. It's not slow enough for Trick Room. It's not fast enough to be outspeeding much, which is why you don't normally invest into speed with this Pokemon. You normally invest into special defense or defense and just make it one of the bulkiest things imaginable. You chuck an Assault Vest on this thing, and it is not budging. With a special attack set of 110, it also hits just as hard as it takes. And with an attack set of base 100, it can be used physically. However, the reason why I chose this thing to be my Dynamax captain is it gets access to moves such as Max Ooze, Max Geyser, Max Flare. This thing can set up many different weathers as well as various terrains and set up its own special attack stat with Max Ooze. While also, if you pair it with something such as the Tapu Fini, it can also boost up special attack stat of your partner Pokemon, which this with Fini and both being bulky can cause a very devastating threat. It does get access to Muddy Water as well, which allows me to play around with the accuracy of my opponents. So it gets some nice coverage moves outside of being able to be the Dynamax Pokemon. Goodra is amazing, and I was so glad when I could pick it up. Moving on though, I mentioned it already, Blissey with Heal Pulse, Helping Hand, This thing can make or break a battle. Unless the opponent can actually take this thing out, which with its defense of 10, it can happen. It's got a monstrous HP stat of 255. You don't see many Pokemon with stats over 200. But this thing does have one. And that can really help out with the battle. Combining it with the Feeny terrain allows it to prevent being toxic. And that can make a big difference. If they don't have a physical attacker, this thing is sitting there and brick walling the special attackers while also healing. It did also get a buff with Life Dew this generation, which allows it to heal itself while healing the partner Pokemon, so it doesn't have to rely entirely on Heal Pulse. Which when you combine it with a Feeny, it can Heal Pulse the Feeny, Feeny can Heal Pulse it, Feeny can go on the offense while being Helping Hand boosted by Blissey, so Blissey allows the Feeny to go on the offense for it. And it also gets aromatherapy, so it can set up, it can, once the terrain is gone, restore any status conditions put on it and its partner Pokemon. Moving on, however, we have yet more support in Vileplume. There is a lot of support on this team. Vileplume is very interesting support, however. Being a base 110 special attack, it can go on the offense with Pollen Puff or heal with Pollen Puff, while also going on the offense with the rest of its moveset. This thing has a really good offensive moveset and also has access to healing in Pollen Puff, and also having access to things such as Sleep Powder, which with special defense of 90, defense of 85, and HP of 75, not the worst defensive stats for being a defensive Pokemon. You can run off the base 110 special attack using Giga Drain and not invest in special attack, allowing it to deal decent damage while healing itself and keeping itself alive for moves such as Sleep Powder. This makes it a very versatile Pokemon on my team, which can allow for some very interesting spreads to be built with it. And it also does have access to other moves such as Acid, which will, while not doing much damage, allow it to set up for the second Pokemon to double into the same slot after lowering their special defense stat, and instantly get some value out of it. Other moves of note are Strength Sap, which allow it to lower the opposing Pokemon's attack stat while healing itself. Corrosive Gas, which will allow it to remove items. And also Synthesis, which allows it to have more longevity. It does get access to T-Dance, which can be a double-edged sword if it confuses your Pokemon. However, it can also confuse the opposing Pokemon. And on top of all of that, allow it to combine that with the Sleep Powder to keep the Pokemon asleep and confused for when they wake up. These all make it a very useful Pokemon to have around when you're trying to win a doubles match, because it's useful in both singles and doubles, but I feel like it gets more use out of doubles than it does singles. So moving on to the next Pokemon, we have Gothitelle. What doesn't Gothitelle do? It hits hard, it takes hits, it sets up, it's one of the best Pokemon to set up Trick Room. It also gets other really nice support moves. It can set up the Trick Room and then go on the offense, so you can have an offensive Trick Room setter, or you can have this be a supportive Trick Room setter. This Pokemon is so good in doubles. It makes me sad to see that it is so good in doubles, but it's not amazing in singles. It's good in singles, it's just not amazing. It's not as good as it is in doubles. It's like if you think about it in Draft League terms, it's tier 1 doubles Pokemon, but a tier 3 singles. I'd say tier 3/tier 4 singles. So there's not an awful lot for me to say about Gothitelle, so we are going to quickly move on to Tornadus T. I said we needed more offense. So when I saw Tornadus T there, I was like, we're taking this. Physical, special, it can be ran either way. I believe it got Nasty Plot as well in this generation. So it can be ran with Nasty Plot. So I'm just pulling off its moveset because this thing has so many moves. It is really hard to remember everything that this thing can do, because it can... Hurricane is the most notable move this thing gets. It gets access to Hurricane, Extra Sensory, Hammer Arm, Tailwind, so it can be a supportive speed booster if we don't bring Whimsicott. It gets access to moves such as Icy Wind for speed, for more speed control, Weather Ball if we decide to go on the weather plan with Gudra setting up the weather, U-Turn to be a nice pivot core with the Incineroar. It can double lead with the Incineroar, both Pokemon pivot out, but we know about our opponent's lead. It gets Acrobatics, Air Slash, Brutal Swing, Nasty Plot, Sludge Wave. We've already mentioned Hurricane, Bulk Up if you decide to go on the physical setup plan. This thing does a little bit of everything, and that makes it so versatile. I believe it also gets access to Heat Wave, but I'm not sure if that is a transfer-only move. It doesn't get access to Heat Wave as Incinerate, but it is a transfer-only move. It doesn't get access to Defog anymore, though, which is a bit of a hit on it on the double side, but we can live with that. But moving on, we talked about D-Max captains. We've also got Hawlucha, who is our other Dynamax captain. Unburden with access to a terrain setter to set up the siege plan. This thing, Dynamax's max airstreams boosted speed even further if it didn't already have insane speed. Boosts the speed stat of my partner Pokemon. It can also boost the attack stat. So if we do go physical Farius of Tornadus Farian, we can also boost the attack stat of that Pokemon with Hawlucha. So the Tornadus works really nicely with both our Dynamax captains. This thing gets Roost. I don't know if it still gets Defog. It might be a transfer only move. But this thing hits hard, and we've all seen it in work. We've all seen Hawlucha used somewhere, and we have nightmares about this thing from Gen 7. Just procking the seed and then just going ham on everyone. Flying Press is stupid, but it's not as good in doubles. So I'm excited to use this thing in doubles. And well, not finally, because we still got one more Pokemon after this. We have Gengar, the G-Max Gengar, making its appearance 2 leagues in a row on this channel. I've said it before, I'll say it again. It is my favorite G-Max Pokemon there is. Max Ooze, trapping, ghost type move trapping, Perish Song, which with Gothitelle is Perish Trap team as well. I did not even draft that planning that, but it happened anyway. Nasty Plot for setup. Grassy terrain, access to that. Access to psychic terrain. Access to many different terrains. I think Fairy, Grass, Psychic. I don't know if it gets an electric type move, but it at least gets access to all 3 of those terrains. G-Max Gengar is so versatile and can be used in so many ways. The only way it can't be used is physically. Not that I wouldn't try, but I'm not going to try. And with the final one, the channel mascot is here. We have finally drafted Ferrothorn. Well, we finally drafted Ferrothorn, and honestly, I don't know why I drafted it. I think I drafted it because I needed the last Pokemon, and I drafted it because it is my channel mascot. I figured if we're going to fill it in one slot, we might as well fill it in with our channel mascot. Helping Hand and Heal Pulse boosted Ferrothorn can be useful. We can use it with Zoom Lens to help us hit our power whips. I believe Horlucha gets coaching, so we can boost its attack and defense stat with Horlucha. We can use Horlucha to boost its attack stat with a Max Knuckle. We can protect it from burns using Feeny. You can also protect it from burns using Vileplume and our Blissey. I think it can be very useful as a Pokemon that receives all the support. It's got nice defensive stats. It can survive a lot of hits and then dish them back out. Its base 94 attack stat is no joke, and I think with all the support we've got on our team, we can make Ferrothorn work. The big reason why I wasn't going to draft it is, you might have noticed, we have a massive fire weakness in Whimsicott, Vileplume, and Ferrothorn. We have 3 grass types on this team, and none of them are neutral to fire. So we do have to work around that fire weakness, but I think we can work around it nicely using Guja to set up rain, and by using Feeny as a switch in. So that is the team, guys. I hope you enjoy it. Like I said, if you haven't already, please do hit the subscribe button. Sorry for that mistake that I made earlier on with Lele. I don't know how I managed that. I don't know how I managed it. But yes, that is our team though. Please do hit that subscribe button and watch out for the battles that will be coming. And yeah, I think I just worked out how I made that mistake. I had it down in my notes as taking Lele. Nothing about Feeny. So I will fix that so that I don't accidentally bring a Lele. But yes, that is everything, guys. Please do hit that subscribe button, like button, comment down below what you think of the team. And as always, take care and be kind.